Good morning. I hope all is going well for you. This is, of course, Cowboy Jim and Fort Mac back on YouTube for a while till I screw up and say something else that's not popular. But until then, I'll enjoy myself. I had the privilege and the honor of looking back at several videos that I've done over the over the last year. Mm. And first video actually I ever had occasion, the privilege and the honor of doing was May 9th and getting it posted. And I had just never done videos before. I've been in front of the camera and uh, Leanne Rhymes, a little movie about Alaska and stuff like that, Heartland, but never with a speaking role. And I don't know if this is a role or not. But anyways, I watched a video this morning, and its title, it's a long title, is "She is Sitting on the Floor in a Crowded Room, Head Bowed." Now, I'm not sure if, given all my commentary on politics and the corruption of politicians and the deception of ooh, the things that are planned for we humans in the future by those humans, I question that part, who believe they're more intellectually sound than the average Canadian or average person of the world. I'm not altogether certain. I am certain of this. Can't talk about 99% of the issues that are a concern for me, but the main concern in my life has been to fight against abuse. That's abuse by government, abuse by bullies, abuse by child abusers who pick on children, and the resultant trauma that is associated with um, um, my phone. Jeez, jeez. Anyways, um, I should have hid that thing, or muted it possibly. But anyways, I didn't. I should have, and oop, that worked. That title that I just gave you, she is sitting on the floor in a crowded room, head bowed. That's a perception that I have attained unto through 40 plus years, 60, maybe 65. First time I ever saw abuse, I was 5 years old. And kid was, we used to call him a mongoloid child. That's not because we were ignorant. That's, well, we probably were. But that's what Down syndrome children were called. And I studied that boy. He was 7 or 8 years of age, maybe nine, I don't know. Uh, Found out from my sister not long ago that he had died about 2 years ago. And last time I spoke to him, I was about 22 or 3. I'd already built a few houses, so maybe I was 24, who knows. And, uh, and I never got to speak to him again, but I thanked him. And he, uh, he has a Down syndrome child. Yeah, I'd been treated hard enough that a 5 year old kid, I'd been boarded out for a year, school year, with some people, uh, and it was their child, and that boy never saw, to the best of my knowledge, he never spent a day in school, and but he gave to me a comprehension of what love is, and and his ability to express that love. I have said for many years that I don't whine, bitch, nor complain, but I come real close on occasion, and I check myself harshly, and I try diligently to make sure that I'm really not crossing that threshold of self indulgence that I see when I hear people whining and complaining about one thing or another. But in watching that Down syndrome child, and it tweaked my interest. It gave me the privilege of thinking uh, beyond the confines of my own body, and it caused me to be attentive to the people around me who were less privileged than I, um, who were going through stuff that no one had the right to inflict upon them. And I I watched again this video that I did. It's a picture, really, painted with words of a lady that I studied for about 8 months to a year, and I didn't get to know her at all. Um, we weren't allowed that privilege, and it just if you ever go to do something in life and everything is stacked against you, and for me, I am shy, and I say that, and people say, "Well, you sure talk a lot for being shy," and that's true, I do. But I talk with my heart. My heart is not is not too far from my intent of building people up. Um, I I would be so honored if you could watch that video. Oh, it's like 400 videos back in my repertoire. And again, she is sitting on the floor in a crowded room, head bowed. So I have dedicated my life to caring for others who find it difficult to care for themselves, and I think it's a worthy cause. I truly do. Um, any time I any time that I get to watch that video again about that woman, my heart goes out to her. Not just because she is truly the most beautiful woman I ever met in my entire life, um, and the strongest. Oh, you have no idea. But because I chose when I was young to care for people. And when I think of that lady, and I think of my friend. His first name was Barry, and and I think of the lessons, the life lessons that that Down syndrome child taught me. I think also of a night at work, not that terribly long ago. 60 or 70 of us were in the main part of the meeting place to do our safety meetings and stuff like that prior to starting the shift. And I heard some serious yelling across the room, and I saw a very, very big and frankly obnoxious lady picking on this little tiny girl, and the bigger of the two was a self-appointed instructor on how to run a truck safely. And if you meet someone who is self-appointed at anything, fulfilling a job description that is not part of her portfolio, uh, stare at them pretty hard. Probably an abused child that, who knows, doesn't matter. But anyways, when she was done, I headed across the room, and as I said, there were about 60 or 70 of us in the room. That big woman who was picking on that fellow truck driver as though she were an authority on all things to do with being able to drive a truck, run her mouth more than driving a truck. But nonetheless, when she saw me coming, I was just kind of meandering over through the crowd, and people were staring at that little girl. And that big woman, and I'm talking big, when she turned and walked away, that little girl uh, hit the floor, and she hit the floor, and she was weeping. And about that time, I got over to her and I knelt down beside her, and I said, "Can I pray for you?" Now that little girl, she she said, "Oh, please, Jim, please pray for me." So I told her, I said, "No one's going to know what I'm doing much here," which was an absolute untruth. And so I took my hat off and I put my arm around her shoulder and I prayed for her. I asked God to build her up from within to without. And if you understand anything about abusers, you will understand that they abuse in order to self gratify their own perspective, their own area of perceived self grandizement. And it's truly disgusting, truly disgusting. So I prayed for that little girl. And that's not a popular thing to do in a crowded room at work. I think most people would have just left her sitting there on the floor, weeping her heart out. But I believe you have to count the cost. And if you care more for someone else than you care for yourself, you're headed in the right direction. People say you have to love yourself. Well, I do believe that you have to respect yourself. You have to behave in such a manner that you earn your own self respect, not pride, none of those things, but the purity of truth to assess who and what you really are. Anyways, I prayed for that baby girl, and she thanked me, and we all went to work. And I have prayed for her since then, and she's a good kid. People, if they're given a chance, there is a good side to them, and some people don't ever open themselves up to being good, polite, kind, respectful, all those attributes that are not popular. But they're there. They're real. You see abuse of children or ladies. Speak up. Say something. Do something. Make a difference. Okay? So, God bless you. I hope this video finds you well. If you're an abused child or an adult who is growing through abuse, I encourage you to develop a relationship with my Creator and His Son through His Son. I don't encourage people to become religious, but I do encourage people to care one for another as God has cared for you. And you, as an abused child, you've probably been through some terrible stuff that you bear no responsibility for. The one thing with abuse is that quite often people generationally continue to wallow in that abuse. So find a way, if you have been abused, find a way to break out of that. Find a way to forgive your abuser. And it's a necessity. Scripture says through the Lord's Prayer, forgive us this day our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. It's hard, children. Trust me, it's hard. God bless you, eh? God bless you. My phone number is 403 816 5696. If you're an abused child, you don't know which way to turn, give me a call. I don't have all the answers, but I do what I can. God bless you, eh? God bless you.